It's time for On the Farm in Alabama, bringing farmers and agribusiness the latest news from Alabama Extension and the Auburn University College of Agriculture. Now here's your host, Alabama Extension Regional Agent, Eddie McGriff.
Good day, everybody. I'd like to welcome you today to the bean counters on the farm today in Alabama. And today I'm with Nick McMichen. He's one of the two growers in Alabama that have documented 100 bushel yields on soybeans. In fact, Nick, you were the winner of the Alabama Soybean Producers Yield Contest, the first grower in Alabama to produce $10,000.
Well, that's technically correct, Eddie. That was my son. If I happened to enter his name, but yes, that's correct. Yeah.
It was your family farm.
That's right. It was a team effort.
It was a team effort. That's always good when we talk about family farms, that your son, your son-in-law, your dad, everybody's involved in your farm.
That's correct.
Well, not only is Nick the holder of the highest documented soybean yield in Alabama at 101 bushels, but he's also the holder of the dryland yield at 94 bushels, and that was done a couple years ago. You planted that dryland field on April the 23rd.
That's right, Eddie. We planted the soybeans on April 23rd, and we found the key to growing high yielding soybeans is getting them planted early. And you know, in the middle of all that, we planted them and it turned out to be terrible weather conditions. And we even contemplated replanting the soybeans, but the resiliency of the soybeans was just tremendous. And due to your judgment and us looking at it, we left them, and even with a few breaks in it, we still had a population of about 90,000 left, and they ended up yielding very, very well. The field averaged 85 bushels dryland.
Well, I think any grower would take 85 bushels overall dryland, especially on a field that you were thinking about replanting, that the stand in some places was a little thin. So, I mean, that's an excellent yield. But this year, this is April the 16th, you're planting soybeans, and what variety are you planting?
We're planting Asgrow 47 XFO, and we're planting 125,000 plants per acre, and we're getting them in very timely. There's some cool weather, but you know, the key to growing high yielding soybeans is giving yourself the opportunity to get them in early where the beans can do what they need to do. So we're getting them in, and they'll have plenty of time to make soybeans.
Well, a lot of growers are looking, you're a no-till situation. What did you use for your burn down?
On the burn down on soybeans, we used glyphosate, we used dicamba, and we used 2 ounces of Valor. And then we're going to come back over the top then, and we'll spray a combination of dual and glyphosate then.
What about your fertility program? What have you been using to make these high yield beans?
We're a heavy proponent of poultry litter. That's been a very key component, although we're doing some of both this year, so we're doing a trial to see how commercial fertilizer will work. One of the keys, though, is what you had suggested at R3 and R4. We came back and we put out 100 units or 100 pounds of potash, 60 units actually, at pod fill. And so one of the things that happened was the beans, they were actually 2,000 seed per pound versus the normal 2,800. So the growth of the soybean is really where we gained the yield there.
Well, that's one thing we'll concentrate on later in the year, but if you have an 80 bushel or higher yield potential, then I would recommend supplemental potash and nitrogen at probably R1. Give it time to get into the soil and get into the plant. What we've seen is we've getting bigger beans, and like Nick said, we're averaging 2,100, 2,000 seed per pound rather than the 2,800 to 32 that most growers were average. So a lot of our weight that we're picking up is just from keeping that potash level in the leaf above 1.75%, and that is a key to making higher yields is bigger beans.
Absolutely. One of the most misconceptions about soybeans is they've been treated kind of like a stepchild crop, and once we've started treating them like a corn crop and a cotton crop and doing tissue samples and seeing what's going on with the crop, that's been one of the keys also. We really paid attention to the details, and you know, the little things make a lot of difference when it comes to growing high yielding soybeans.
I think that's in anything in farming. It's the little things that add up to make big yields. A bushel here, 4 bushels there, and it adds up to the higher yields and more profitable. So better management is what I talk about.
Most definitely. You know, paying attention to the details. There's no silver bullet to growing any crop, but staying on top of it, insect scouting. You know, we scout that, and we'll apply pyrethroids or whatever insecticide is necessary at the right time, and it's really paid big dividends.
We'll follow Nick as we are Henderson Farms. We're calling them our bean counters, and we'll follow them through the growing year, and we'll just see their production practices, how the crop grows, and what the yield is at the end of the year. But we're really looking forward to it. And Nick, I really want to thank you for being with us today on the farm in Alabama.
Most definitely. Thank you, Eddie, and I'll have to plug Eddie here, but the work that Extension is doing and Eddie working with us has been instrumental in pushing these yields higher. So I would encourage everyone to really pay attention to what you're doing and use these tools, because they're there to help, and they're things that will really pay off in the other end, especially with commodity prices where they are now.
Thank you.